up, say.
One time for the hometown, I got love for it, it's real. 2 times for the haters, man, cause I notice how this shit feel. 3 times for my family.
Hey guys, welcome back. This is Matt with the Matt Cutrer Report. Thank you for joining us again. We've got another great episode for you guys. Another really special guest in the studio. So this week it is Mr. Eric Sanchez, the CEO of ADACCV here in San Angelo, Texas. Thank you so much for coming in to do this.
Thank you for having us, Matt, and it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Yes. So we're going to have a really cool discussion today. I think you guys are going to really like this one. But give us just a second. We're going to jump to a sponsor, and we'll be right back.
Whether you're looking to buy or sell, Holscher Ranch Group has you covered. With a dedicated team and a passion for Texas land, we're here to guide you every step of the way. Visit HolscherRanchGroup.com or call 325-899-1403 to get started. Holscher Ranch Group, making land ownership dreams come true 1 acre at a time. Hey guys, pardon the interruption, but if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button to show your support, we'd be very appreciative. Now back to the episode.
All right, guys, welcome back. Okay, so let's do it. Mr. Sanchez, give us your elevator pitch. Tell us who you are, what you do.
Sure, absolutely. And I am the CEO of the Alcohol and Drug Awareness Center for the Concho Valley, and we call it ADACCV for short.
Yeah.
ADACCV's been around the San Angelo area for over 60 years, man.
Has it really?
Since 1960.
Okay.
So for a long time. And it's known as a place where people can to come and get help for substance use issues. So ADACCV has grown quite a bit since I first started in 2001.
Nice. Wow.
And been there going on my 24th year.
Wow.
And it's kind of funny. When I first started back in 2001, the organization only had 3 computers, and they were all at the main office.
Right?
Yeah. The organization operated the Williams House, which was a treatment center back then, and Sarah's House. And it wasn't known as Sarah's House back then.
Okay.
It was known as the Women and Children's Halfway House.
Oh, interesting.
Didn't have a name.
Okay. Yeah.
And we decided that we should recognize some of our benefactors and some of our generous supporters and partners. And so Sarah Lummis, who's still on our board, her and her church were very key in starting the Women and Children's Halfway House, which was intended to provide a safe place, a refuge for women with children who needed substance use recovery. And so that program sort of ran out of funding in the 80s or the early 90s. And then the early 90s, their board of directors asked the ADACCV board of directors to sort of help them out, take it under their wings. And so it began as a program under ADACCV. They sought funding through the state of Texas, and back then, it was the Texas Commission on Alcohol and Drug Abuse.
Okay.
And so they were able to secure funding and pick it up, and the house was renovated, and Sarah's House continued as a treatment program for women with children, which at the time, back in the 90s, there were only 3 other programs in the country that allowed women to come to treatment for substance use with their children.
Whoa.
And have them there. And we still continue that today.
Oh, that's great.
At the Journey Recovery Center.
Yeah.
So we still operate Sarah's House is a sober living home for females, and it's about 12 beds.
Okay.
We still allow children.
Nice.
And then Williams House is now our sober living home for men.
Okay.
And that's about 12 beds as well. And our treatment center is now at the Journey Recovery Center, which we moved into in 2020.
Okay.
And we moved into the Journey Recovery Center right in the middle of, actually right at the initial point when COVID started shutting everything down. That's when we were moving in.
Wow, it's chaos, yeah.
So we transferred about, I believe at the time we had 12 or so clients at Sarah's House, and probably about the same number at Williams House. And we transferred them to the new facility. And it was new to ADACCV because we always had the treatment centers, Williams House and Sarah's House.
Right.
But we were never under the same roof.
Oh, that's right.
With both male and female. And we also added a full kitchen and dining room.
Nice.
Which means we were going to provide 3 hot meals a day with cooks, which was new to us. We never had cooks because at the houses, it was so small that cooking was a life skill class.
Oh, yeah.
So the clients cooked their own breakfast as a life skill class.
Sure.
And they cooked their own lunch and dinner.
Okay.
And that was all budgeting. It was all life skills. And so we had a different type of system set up and structure at the new facility. So that was new to us. And so we very quickly doubled capacity. We only had 16 beds at Sarah's house. We only had 16 beds at William's house, only 12 beds at Sarah's house.
Okay.
So we doubled capacity, Matt.
Wow.
So we went from those small beds to 30 male beds and 30 female beds.
Nice.
Which was new to us. We didn't know how to handle so many clients at once. So there was a learning curve.
Sure.
The other thing that we didn't have that we added at the Journey Recovery Center was detox.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Detox was critical. And it was sort of the impetus, sort of the reason that we needed a new facility to be able to provide detox and be able to have a medical director, 24/7 nurses, which we have now.
Okay.
That was all new to us. So we took on a pretty big chunk of learning how to serve clients in these new capacities with these new programs. And by the grace of God and his blessings, we were able to do it, and we're doing it now. Yeah. There's always challenges. ADAC is a 501c3 nonprofit. There's tons of challenges that come with that. Funding is always critical. Most of our clients, if you don't mind, we can talk about funding transition into that.
Of course.
Most of our clients are going to be state funded. They're indigent, they're uninsured or underinsured.
Okay.
And so we do have a contract with the state of Texas, with the Health and Human Services Commission, to provide treatment and prevention services in our community. But the state of Texas, they draw down about 85% of their total funding that they use for the whole state of Texas. And we're talking about the I-35 corridor, Austin, San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, larger cities like El Paso, Amarillo, but all over the state, down to the coast, Corpus, Beaumont, Galveston, all that. They use about 85% of federal block grant funding, and about 15% of that is state funding, but it's all our tax dollars at work.
Right, exactly.
These are all tax dollars.
Okay.
So we have to be good stewards of that.
That's right.
However, for a state-funded client, we get a reimbursement rate for intensive residential of $120 a day. Okay. Per client for residential treatment. Okay. So with that $120 per day, we have 24/7 awake staff. We have qualified credentialed counselors. Nice. We take them to AA or NA or Celebrate Recovery meetings. Yep. We provide the 3 meals a day plus snacks and coffee. Yes. So it's very costly to operate. Yeah. Our actual daily operation cost is about $200 a day. Oh, okay. So there's a big gap in what we get. That's right. Versus what we.
So how do we make up the difference? Is it local funding?
Well, donations? Let me know. No, I'm just kidding. Right. Yeah. So yes, that's exactly right. We rely on donations on the United Way of the Concho Valley. Okay. They are one of our biggest partners, and we thank God for them. And that's our community given to the United Way. That's right. That's folks like you and me. Knowing that there's a very big need in our community, not just for ADAC, but I believe there are 18 to 20 other programs that the United Way of the Concho Valley helps provide funding for. That's right. And so that's another way we do it. We have about 4 signature fundraisers throughout the year. Okay, yeah. I like to say that they start in February with Valentine's Day. Yeah. And we started that a long time ago, many years ago. And we call it Have a Heart for ADAC. Okay. And it's an online auction of Valentine's Day themed gifts. Oh, nice. Okay. And desserts and things to take to your sweetheart. Okay. Yeah. And so we start with that. And then in the spring, a few years ago, we added a keynote speaker luncheon. Okay. And we've been able to bring some speakers with some notoriety. Yeah. We brought, Randy White, who was a Dallas Cowboy linebacker back in the 70s and 80s. Nice. That's right. Let's see. There were a couple of others. There was a movie called Beautiful Boy with Steve Carell.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
So the actor, of course, they played the part of the real folks, and we brought in the guy who was the actual boy? Person. Yes, we brought him in. Yes,
the actual person, not the actor. Yes, that actor is he's blowing up now. He's about to be in the movie about what's his name, the singer.
Oh, yes,
I can't think of his name.
Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan. Yeah. Anyway,
absolutely, he's going to play him.
He's good.
Yeah, but we didn't bring in the actor.
Right.
Yeah. But so we have that fundraiser, and then we have we take part in San Angelo Gives in May. Yeah. That's a big
awesome.
one. That's
Love
a big
St. Angelo
one.
Gives, yeah.
And then in the summer, we brought in a golf tournament that's been very helpful. And then we have in September what we call Let It Go Recovery Rally and Run.
Yes.
Which we have a 5K run or a 1 mile walk or run. And then we have a recovery rally, which we have a speaker that talks about their recovery and their experience.
Yes.
Sometimes it's 2 speakers. It just depends on the year.
Okay.
And so that's how we make up the difference with these fundraisers. Then we have partners. We have an end of the year giving request that we send out to our partners and friends in the community. And many of them support us.
Yeah.
Many of them find it in their heart and they believe in our mission.
Yeah.
Which is to save lives and create healthier communities. And so they support us that way. And that's how we make up the difference.
Okay.
Because not only are we doing treatment, Matt, but we're also doing prevention. And there is a misconception, I think, about prevention. People think that it's just for kids.
Yeah.
It's just for youth.
Right.
But it's really the lifespan.
Okay.
It really is. Because everybody has a need to be aware how they can be a prevention tool in the community. And our main goal with prevention is to help our community and the surrounding area in the Concho Valley, not just San Angelo, but the 14 counties that surround San Angelo, is to identify risk factors.
Okay. Yeah.
For example, there's gateway drugs.
Right.
And they used to be cigarettes, alcohol, and marijuana. Okay. Now it's vapes,
yeah,
cigarettes, alcohol, and marijuana. Those are gateway drugs.
Sure.
You know, most of the folks, the vast majority of the folks that are in treatment with us and trying to get their life back, they didn't start out as an addict.
That's right.
They started out misusing drugs or alcohol, marijuana or cigarettes or vape, or alcohol as a youth,
right? That's
as a teen or sometimes a preteen.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's a very big problem in our community. Yeah. And so a prevention team is trying to identify those risk factors and then increase and educate and inform the community about protective factors, things that we can do.
Well, let me just interject. So when it comes to prevention, I immediately think of my experience growing up with DARE, programs like DARE.
Right.
And they used a little bit of scare tactics and stuff like that. And it wasn't super effective in my opinion.
Sure.
And so what you guys are doing now, I think is interesting because it's more about educating. And you still inform on what the potential dangers are. But what's the difference now, would you say, from DARE to what you guys do now?
Well, DARE got a bad rap.
Okay.
Matt, it really did, because they provided it only in the 5th grade.
Yes.
And then they did research when those same 5th graders became seniors. They did some research and they found that it didn't really affect their entry into risky behaviors, into engaging in risky behaviors, such as drug use or criminal activity.
Yeah.
But what they didn't do is they didn't provide anything between the 5th grade and the 12th grade.
That, like you're saying, it should be lifelong.
It should be lifelong. And there is solid research that shows that if we were in an ideal world, if we were able to provide prevention type programs like we do now in every grade, starting with kindergarten, which we do, in every grade provide some sort of prevention program up through the 12th grade.
Okay.
Then the research shows that those youth are going to be a lot less likely as 18-year-olds and graduates and going into college or going into life to engage in risky behaviors or drug use. It's incredible.
Really cool.
It's incredible. So that's our goal.
Okay.
And that's one thing we tell our local schools, private, public schools. Let us go into your school and we can make a difference.
Yes.
Let us be in every grade.
Yes.
We can make a difference.
Yeah.
But, we have real life kind of comes in the picture.
Sure.
And so we do the best we can to get as much exposure to youth as possible.
Okay, yeah.
And so we're at every health fair that we can be at. We're at every school function that they'll allow us to be at.
Yes.
And in the prevention programs that we provide for our youth, we don't just go and say, scare tactics.
Right.
These are now research-based, evidence-based programs, curriculum.
Yes.
It's curricula that we provide to youth.
Yeah.
And we have pretty good outcomes. We have great outcomes, actually, when we're able to provide them.
Yeah, I bet.
Absolutely. It does make a difference.
That's cool.
And then there's we want to educate employers that they can be an enormous prevention tool for the community by just conducting random drug tests on their employees. Instead of just post-accident or pre-employment drug tests, do it randomly.
Right.
We do it randomly at ADAC.
That's right.
Our own employees. I remember getting picked just at random twice in a row, and I had to stop what I was doing, go down, take a drug test, and come back to work.
You even get drug tested?
I get drug tested.
Wow.
That's right.
That's pretty cool.
Because it's random. We just put a bunch of names in the hat. Our HR director, she will just randomly get names and pick them out, and then we have to go take a drug test.
Sure.
But what this does is, if employers were to do that, you see, Matt, most people aren't in the addiction stage of substance use. They're in the misuse.
Yes.
They're misusing.
Okay.
People say abuse, but they're misusing drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
So, and then most of those folks are employed.
Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And most of those folks have children.
Right.
So, because they're not in the addiction stage, if they know that their employer is going to do random drug testing and their job is in jeopardy, guess what will happen? They'll self-correct.
That's right.
So when they self-correct, they're not going to go buy drugs. That lowers the incidence of drug use in the entire community. Wow. So that's a big factor.
That's good.
That's a big factor. Yeah. So we encourage employers to do that, and they can contact us, and we have a drugs in the workplace program, and several employers in our community take advantage of that. So when they do a drug test, or pre-employment or post-employment, or they have a good employee that's struggling with substances or alcohol, they put them through our drugs in the workplace program, and they get a strong benefit of that, and then they return to work healthy.
Awesome.
That's right.
Yeah.
The other thing is that because most of these folks are parents, when they're not using and they self-correct and self-adjust to the better, guess what? They're going to be better parents.
Oh, yeah.
Because instead of being up at midnight and having their kids up at midnight, those kids are going to go to bed at an early time. So they're going to be well fed. They're going to be rested. And
what you're saying literally is, so with the class I'm in, the outpatient class, there's a gentleman, young guy. He works for, it's one of the bigger, I think it's like, it's one of like the steel companies or something, bigger company, and Reese Albert. And what happened was he got a random drug test and it was dirty. And so they gave him two options. They said, we can either let you go or you can go to outpatient rehab. And so he's in the class for that now. So that's we're a good seeing, example. It is. And then also another young lady, just what you said, she's during process group, she talked about how when she was misusing recreationally using drugs like marijuana and stuff, her daughter would be up with her until about midnight or sometimes 1 a.m. Right. And now that she's not doing that, she has a bedtime that she goes to bed at a certain time. So those things are really practically, and they're happening. They're practical.
Yeah, they're happening. And when kids are rested and well fed, guess what? They're going to be a better student.
That's right.
It affects attendance at school. The schools get funding when they have better attendance.
That's right.
So it affects our whole community.
Everything. Yeah.
And that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to identify these risk factors and provide information about protective factors. One of our other biggest prevention tools are parents.
Yes.
And these are parents.
Okay.
And so when parents discuss their core values and their expectations, that's key.
Okay.
Is letting your child know what your expectations are of them.
Okay.
That you will not use alcohol. You will not, and you actually discuss that with kids.
This is good. Okay.
I expect you to go to school, to do your homework, to do your chores, and to not use these gateway drugs.
Right.
Vaping, drugs, cigarettes, alcohol, marijuana, but explain why they're harmful.
Right.
Right. And so we have this wonderful parent packet that explains all
like
that.
This.
And it's free.
Cool.
Anyone can go by the office or call us and we'll get you one.
That's good to know.
It's a wonderful parent packet. It also has a section that talks about the 40 developmental assets. And these 40 developmental assets, Matt, have been identified several years ago by research. And these are assets that youth can develop and have. And the more of these 40 developmental assets they have, the less likely they're going to be to engage in risky behavior.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So it's things like being involved and interested in school.
Yes.
For example, youth that has a good positive perception of school, loves to read, is involved in extracurricular activities like sports, soccer, baseball, whatever sport. is involved in band, is involved in church, faith-based program,
yes,
and has positive adult role models.
Oh, that's so key.
Those are very key. Those are developmental assets that really contribute to the health and wellness of our youth.
Yes.
And it's key for our whole community.
Yeah.
And St. Angelo is very blessed to have so many wonderful things to do in our community.
Yes.
We have the lakes, we have the river, we have fishing, we have sports, we have sport complexes, we have schools that provide band and music and art and debate.
That's right.
All sorts of activities.
We sure do.
And when parents show interest in their children's school life, they have a little Christmas concert. Christmas is right around the corner.
Yeah.
And they go to that Christmas concert. They go to any activity. They go to the PTA meetings or the parent teacher organization meetings, PTO meetings. They attend those things. They're involved in their school life of their youth. Guess what? That's an enormous developmental asset.
So do you think a big chunk of these issues and why kids get involved in this could be, we could figure out how to mitigate that with parents being more involved? Absolutely. I mean, is that a huge factor? Yeah.
Matt, they say knowledge is power.
Yes.
And it really is. Knowledge is power. It's the spiritual warfare out there.
Yes, it is.
Our culture and society, it's broken. Our world is broken. And our culture and society, they promote. If you watch movies, hear songs, I think I read research that 1 in every 3 secular songs promotes drug use in a positive way. They just glamorize it.
I believe it.
They glamorize it. And so you can't watch a movie nowadays where someone won't talk favorably about marijuana.
Right. Absolutely.
It's just like smoking.
Yep.
Which is odd because when I was growing up and even in the 80s and 90s, smoking was bad. You were supposed to stop smoking, and the regulated commercials on TV about cigarettes.
Yeah.
But now it's okay to smoke marijuana.
I know. Yeah.
And marijuana is being legalized all over the country. What they don't show are the negative effects of legalized marijuana.
That's right.
For example, in the Colorado area, state of Colorado, there's a law enforcement task force that has a lot of research that they've compiled. And what they don't talk about is the traffic accidents, the traffic deaths that occur because of marijuana use. They don't talk about the emergency room visits of youth who have overdosed on it.
Right.
They don't talk about the black market still that occurs.
Yes.
And the black market violence that occurs because in those states where it's legal.
Okay. Yeah.
They don't talk about the youth that are affected negatively.
Yeah.
There's research at the University of Columbia. There's a professor there. I can't recall his name right off the bat, but if you look up the University of Columbia, THC research, there is a professor there who's done years and years of research on the effects of THC, marijuana, on youth.
Oh, wow.
There's a strong correlation of those youth that started early onset use of marijuana or THC, talking about 12 years of age, 14 years of age, 15, 16, 17. And in their adult lives, there's a strong correlation of mental health problems.
Ooh, wow.
Severe depression, severe anxiety.
I would like to see that. That's interesting.
Look that up. It's the University of Columbia. It's incredible how that's not talked about in the media.
I know. Yeah.
That's not talked about, all these negative effects.
Of course not.
So I am a proponent of keeping marijuana illegal.
Yeah. Okay.
But to talk about the real dangers involved in it.
Yeah.
If there's medical uses, well, let a doctor prescribe it in pill form.
Right.
But the marijuana lobby, they lobby for that because they want it legalized in different forms because of the cash value.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all about money.
What's interesting is these head shops, that sell vapes and they sell Delta 8 or whatever it is.
Yes.
What's so crazy to me is Delta 8 is still a very powerful, it still gets people high.
It is.
And it's sold legally. I'm so confused by that.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
We do have efforts, and that's something that we try to talk to as our prevention strategy and national prevention strategies is to talk to our lawmakers.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And inform them about these things because you and I know about it because we're sort of in this field and we're interested in it.
Yeah.
But the general public is unaware.
That's true.
They're unaware. And part of And thank you for doing this podcast because it raises awareness.
Of course, yes.
It does raise awareness.
Yes,
and
I love that.
I really appreciate that you're doing this.
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you so much.
That's the best part of it.
Absolutely.
Well, let me ask you this. So you've been in this a long time. You've been doing this a long time.
Yes, sir.
And you've been in the area a long time. And you were born in Big Spring, right?
Correct. Born and raised in Big Spring,
That's
Texas.
awesome.
Yeah.
And so what would you say if you had to step back and take a look at the entire problem from as far back as you can remember to today? Would you say that drug use and abuse and everything associated with it is on the rise, or is it lower than it was back in the day, or about the same? What would you say?
I think it's on the rise.
Okay.
I really do.
Yeah.
There is powerful influences in our world. Mm-hmm. From a spiritual perspective, and ADAC is not a faith-based program. Right. This is just Eric Sanchez speaking now.
Yes, sir.
It's spiritual warfare.
Yes, it is.
The thief comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And he wants to steal and kill our peace, joy, hope, and faith.
That's right.
And if he can see any person who's made in the image of God suffer and just be miserable, then, the evil one is happy.
That's right.
And so it's spiritual warfare. And so it attacks us at every point. Yeah. Our culture and society are such that it promotes drug use. It does. It promotes risky behaviors. Our culture does that. Our society does that. And we get exposed to that in movies, early onset, on TV shows. Sure. Our songs that we listen to. It just, right now, social media. It's all over the place.
That's right.
It's all over the place. Anybody can get on a computer and see anything they want.
I know. That's scary. Yeah.
It's very scary.
Yeah.
And we have young parents that screen time is a babysitter.
Right. That's right.
And so kids at a very early age are exposed to who knows what.
Right.
So I encourage parents, if your child is under 12 years old, don't even let them have screen time.
I agree with that.
Or really restrict it.
Absolutely.
Supervise it to the highest hilt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Put guards on what they can watch and really be involved in what your children are exposed to.
Yes.
With my children, we had a rule. We only had one TV in the house.
Nice.
So
I like that.
My kids didn't have TVs in their rooms.
Yeah.
We only had one computer.
Okay.
It was in the living room.
Yeah.
And if we rented a video or watched a movie and it was against my core values, the family's core values, we would take it off. Then we would talk about it.
Wow.
We talk about, let's not watch that because this and that and this value and that value, it contradicts.
That's fascinating.
And we talked about
I like the fact that we didn't just say, no, we're not watching that and put it aside. You talked about it. That's kind of cool.
I was really careful about what my kids were exposed to.
Yeah.
Because growing up, I didn't have that. Growing up, I was just exposed to the barrio, our neighborhood, and the role models.
Sure.
Bad or good that were around me.
Yeah.
Which didn't turn out so well.
Yeah.
Didn't turn out so well sometimes. And,
that's true.
And so, but it is in the world. And I think it is, the spiritual warfare is just ramping up.
Yeah, it feels that way to me as well.
It is. But we have power over that.
That's right.
We do. We have a great God.
Yeah.
And for him, all things are possible.
Yes.
And if we just turn to him, then things can get better.
I agree.
And that's who changed my life, Matt. Because
what was going on with you? Tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, sure. Absolutely. Well, as I mentioned, I grew up in a neighborhood where I had role models that weren't always the best role models. And grew up in a Catholic household.
Okay.
And we were very secular.
Okay.
Although my mom had a strong faith, she took us to church. We didn't dive into scripture because we relied on services, mass, for that,
right.
And we thought, okay, we did our Sunday at mass, and that's all we need, And it's a strange dichotomy because I had a strong faith in God, but I really didn't know Jesus Christ.
I see.
I really didn't know Him personally, and my role models growing up, I had family that was involved in drug use.
Okay.
And it was all around me.
Yeah.
When I was 10 years old, had a family member in Odessa who was shot in the back on Easter Sunday, killed.
Oh, wow.
Died in his brother's arms, my other cousin.
Oh, goodness.
And there were, I was 10 years old, and he was an older cousin that always had a cool car, cool clothes.
Oh, yeah.
And after, he passed away, he died violently. I'd hear the adults talking about the involvement in drugs and things like that. And then I saw violence just in my neighborhood.
Really?
Saw violence. Had another cousin that was using drugs who tried to attack my dad. My dad was a big guy, 6'2", from the streets, and so my poor cousin, he did stand a chance with my dad.
Oh, wow.
But I saw violence everywhere around me.
Sure.
In front of my street, I saw people fighting. I saw my neighbor beating up his wife.
Oh, my gosh,
It's just the neighborhood I grew up in. It was all around me. So in the 6th grade, I was exposed to marijuana. Other kids bringing marijuana in the 6th grade.
Whoa.
And
did you do that? And did you smoke marijuana?
Not in the 6th grade.
Okay.
In the 7th grade, though, I was selling marijuana.
Really?
In the 7th grade.
Whoa.
And I always had money in my pocket.
Yeah.
And it was just the environment that we grew up in.
Exactly.
And so we grew up poor.
Yeah.
Looking back now, it was like we were pretty poor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back then, it was just life.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
My parents both worked.
Yeah.
I was blessed that neither one of them had an addiction problem or an alcohol problem.
Oh, wow. That's good. Yeah.
They did the best they could, but it was just the role models. And then they raised us with good values.
Yeah.
There were consequences when we got in trouble.
That's good. Yeah.
But you still want to be part
That's right.
of that peer pressure thing.
Oh, yeah.
You still want to be part of what your peers are doing, your friends are doing.
Of course.
If they're doing that, well, I want to do that too.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was all around us.
Yeah.
In high school, alcohol and marijuana were very common.
Yeah.
I took part in that.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to me to the point that it was causing problems in my life. It caused me to have some negative interactions with law enforcement.
Yeah.
And by the grace of God, I don't know how many encounters with law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
I did have the sense not to ever argue with them.
Yeah.
I was very polite and respectful.
That's good. Yeah.
Which I think is the reason I didn't get arrested.
Yeah.
Not because I didn't deserve it.
Right.
But I really deserved right now because of things that I would have done in those days that I was planning to do, that I did do.
Yeah.
That by the grace of God, I never wound up in prison.
Thank goodness. Yeah.
Or dead, which I should be now.
Wow.
I should either be dead or in prison, but by the grace of God, here I am.
Yeah.
And I figured out that the more I surrendered to God, the better my life got.
Yeah.
And so it has had an impact.
Yeah.
Of course, not just on me, but on my children.
Right.
On everyone that I come in contact with. It's a different impact, a different story now because of that.
That's right.
It could have easily gone.
I know, right?
The other way.
It could have.
Easily gone. It should have gone.
Yeah.
I just I believe that God has a purpose for us.
That's right.
He has a plan for each one of us. Jeremiah 29:11. I have plans to prosper you.
That's right. Yeah.
And He has a purpose and a plan and a desire for us, not to live in misery, not to live in harm. But the thing is, Matt, is that the world, people in the world, they also have a plan for us. They also have a desire for us.
That's right.
And a purpose for us. And if we give into that, then we're living more according to people's plans and purposes instead of God's plan for us. So I just encourage folks to look at that and to explore their faith, and to explore Jesus Christ, and because that's who turned me around. You know, Matt, folks are so ready to recommend a good restaurant to you.
Yeah, I know, right?
Recommend a good movie, right? I want to recommend Jesus Christ. Who can change your life?
That's right.
Who can
There's
can
not
bless
enough
you.
of that, is there?
Not enough of that. So I'm going to recommend him before I recommend a good place to eat.
For sure. Yeah,
absolutely.
And then where would you recommend to eat? What's your favorite in San Angelo?
I don't know. Can we do commercials? About any restaurant in San Angelo.
I know there's some good ones here. No, but I like that. You're right. So for you, like, what drew you to this field though initially? Was it your upbringing, and was it the Lord? I mean, what drew you to recovery and helping with that?
You know, Matt, I was before I came to ADAC in 2001, I had been a juvenile probation officer in Dallas County, and the prior 10 years to come into ADAC, I was a probation officer here in Tom Green County.
Okay, yeah,
and I had a very successful career there with the probation department I was training probation officers all over the state.
Whoa!
In a couple of different curriculum.
Okay.
A substance use addiction severity index.
Nice.
And a curriculum called Thinking for a Change. It was very popular at the time.
Yeah.
Which I got trained by the developers, the sociologists and psychologists that were from New York and all over the country.
Okay.
I got trained by the developers of that curriculum to train.
That's incredible.
To train others in providing the curriculum to offenders. And so I was in a statewide committee with the TDCJ, Texas Department of Criminal Justice, the CJAD, Community Justice Assistance Division. And so I was having a great time. I had a great career. And I was in charge of the special funding for probationers called the Treatment Alternatives to Incarceration Program.
Okay.
And so that position, my job duties there was to contract with treatment providers for substance use for probationers who needed treatment.
Okay. So
I was in charge of that funding and developed contracts with providers all over the state. Volunteers of America in Fort Worth, in Waco. We had contracts with Odessa, with Clover House. We had contracts with ADAC here locally. And so I would actually determine the level of treatment that probationers would need.
Okay.
We conduct the screenings, assessments that were the severity index screenings that we did back then. And that kind of got me into the field.
I see.
But it wasn't because to me, it was a chance for promotion at work and a chance to have a different challenge.
Sure. Yeah.
A different position.
Yeah.
That would challenge me and would help my career.
Right.
And that's the way I looked at it.
Okay. Yeah.
And when I became more and more involved with that, I started realizing, oh, wait a minute. I've dealt with this all my life.
Wow.
I started seeing that.
Yeah.
But I still had that criminal justice mentality of, hey, there's consequences to you, everything you do, and didn't really see it as a disease issue.
Oh, interesting.
And so I had a good friend of mine who was serving on the board at ADAC, and they had an opening for their executive director at ADAC. And he urged me, Gary Smith, called me one day and urged me, Eric, would you apply for the executive director position at ADAC? And I remember saying, Gary, I'm fine here at probation.
Yeah.
I'm having a great time here. I think I'll pass. And a few weeks went by, and about a month went by, and he called me back. He said, Eric, I just want you to consider it. I know you've said no, but just consider it, think about it. And I was flattered.
Yeah.
I was really flattered that he would call me and the board would call me. And I still declined, and another month went by.
Yeah.
And he said, Eric, please pray about this. And just pray about it. And so I did. I prayed. It wasn't an immediate decision. I met with some of my mentors at the time and just talked about it with them and thought, okay, well, this is a good challenge. Be the executive director of ADAC. And, I believe ADAC at the time had about 20 or so employees. A very small prevention program. I think there were 3 people. Wow. They only had one fax machine. It was at the main office.
Yeah.
There were only 3 computers at the time. Yeah. They were at the main office.
About 03, you said, or so?
2001.
2001. Okay.
2001.
Dang,
yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so I decided to answer the call.
Wow.
And that's when it just started to sink in that people need help.
Wow. Yeah.
And God spoke to my heart. And this was, God's behind all this.
Yeah.
The whole time.
For sure. Yeah.
The whole time. He's pushing me towards this.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, well, when I first got in, to be honest, and I don't share this with very many people.
Yeah.
Not too many people ask, but I thought, okay, I'll be here 3 or maybe 4 or 5 years, and then I'll move on to something different, maybe go work at the state level or some other challenge. I always like to be challenged.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
And I'm still here 24 years later, almost so 24 crazy. Years later, because every day is such a wonderful challenge. Every day is different.
Yeah.
There's so many people, Matt, that need help.
Yes.
And if we at ADAC, if we can answer the phone or open the door for someone And for that day, just give them that hope.
Yes.
Hope is a powerful force.
That's right.
And it's one of the greatest gifts God gives us.
Oh, that's so true.
Is that hope.
Yes.
And if we can share that hope with someone, to me, that's the greatest adventure ever.
Oh, I agree.
That's the greatest challenge ever.
Yeah, okay.
And to be there. And so one thing that we preach at ADAC, and we talk about at ADAC, is we treat everyone the same.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if they look like, like they don't have anything to their name, and they haven't taken a shower in a few days. They haven't been able to clean themselves. They come in the door and ask for help.
Yeah.
We treat them the same way as we treat Mayor Brenda Gunder coming in the door. Or if it was the President of the United States, we would treat them the same way.
That's right.
Because in God's eyes, no one's different.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
We're all brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
We're all creation of God.
Yes.
We're children of God. If we allow ourselves to be.
Yes.
Agreed. And so we make everyone feel welcome.
Yeah.
And that makes a difference sometimes, I think, because they need to have the hope that things will get better.
Right.
Things can get better.
Yes.
And they will get better. And people need a little help sometimes. I've needed help.
Absolutely.
I've needed help in my life. We have all needed help.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And we can't ignore that. And so then we extend that to our team members.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't just say, okay, well, let's just treat our clients and our customers this way.
Mm-hmm.
We need to treat each other that way too.
That's right, yeah.
Because that's integrity.
Right.
If we're going to treat one, then let's treat everybody the same way. Let's give everyone the same. Let's extend that same level of love and hope and courtesy to everyone,
right,
including ourselves.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so
that's
what we try to do at ADAC. So when we talk about our mission, which is to save lives and create healthier communities, we try to look for team members when we do the interview, and we usually have a 3-tier interview process where we have a first interview, then the folks that are going to work with that person, they have a second interview. Mm-hmm. And then our third tier is we ask them, hey, could you come and kind of be in the spot that you're going to apply for, that you have applied for?
Interesting.
And be with us a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And work with the folks that you're going to work with and volunteer for that time. And then that's the third tier. So they can kind of see. And we've had a few folks that say, you know what, this isn't really what I thought it was going to be.
Oh, wow.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah.
And then we've also had the reverse to that, is where we thought, well, you're not really a good fit.
Right.
Maybe apply for a different position or come back later at a different time, because we're all growing.
Right.
So we like to snag those team members, those folks in the community that have a passion for what we do, who are inherently...
I love that about ADAC.
Who have that inherent compassion.
Yes.
And we hope that people can see that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That's our goal.
That's cool.
Because we need to care.
Yes.
And the folks that we have that are our team members, they're there because they do care.
That's enough. Right.
Yeah. And if they don't care enough, then they shouldn't be there.
That's right.
Right.
You can tell that. You really can about everyone there. Yeah.
Well, thanks for saying that. It's
interesting.
Thanks for saying
And I wanted to ask real quick about...
Thanks for observing that.
Yeah, of course. It's hard to miss. So you said that the detox part of the program that you guys offer was crucial, was very important. Why was that so important, do you think, to be able to offer that?
Most people who are seeking treatment, Matt, they need to be detoxed off that substance.
Right.
And detox, of course, we're trying to get them off that substance, that chemical that's in their body. It's part of their physiology.
Yes.
And so, for example, alcohol is the most dangerous drug to detox from.
Yes.
People get hallucinations. Their body acts severely. Seizures.
Yeah.
Yes. Response. You stop that alcohol, and if it's not medically supervised, there's a severe danger of losing your life.
Yes.
People can die. And and we have seen it all around the state. We've seen it here in San Angelo, where people, you can't just cold turkey.
Yeah.
People can do that with opioids, with heroin and opioid prescription drugs.
Yeah.
And other opioids. They can detox themselves. It's painful. They feel like they're going to die.
Right.
But with alcohol, it can really happen. So detox is important.
Okay.
And you can't just put a person into the public calls it rehab. We call it treatment, right? Residential treatment. But you can't just go into treatment. You need detox. Yeah. So we were scrambling for years to find a detox bed for folks that came in who needed detox.
Okay.
We were at the mercy of places like in Waco, in Odessa, Midland, Odessa, which is 2 hours away.
Right.
And if we were to find a bed, say at Turning Point in Odessa, we still had to worry about transportation.
That's right.
How do we get them there?
I know.
So that was another issue.
Yeah.
And so it was crucial that we had it here in San Angelo.
Okay.
So that, and now we can pretty much place someone, except for the weekend. We're working on the weekend to get people in on weekends. But right now, if you need help today, we can probably get you in today.
That's great.
And that's an enormous blessing.
Yes, it is.
And we can put you in detox. We have a medical director. And I want to just kudos to Dr. Ralph Worcester and all our nursing team.
Okay, yeah.
We have 24-hour nurses.
Fantastic.
And care.
Yeah.
They do a wonderful job. And our team members are just incredible. Dr. Worcester is incredible. And I want to give a shout out to Dr. Mark Wimpy, who was our first medical director.
Wow. Yeah, okay.
When I first got to ADAC in 2001, one of my first and biggest priorities was to get detox back.
Oh, nice.
Because ADAC had detox with Dr. Wilton Jones up until 1997.
Oh, okay.
When he passed away.
I see.
Then after that, there was no detox.
Okay.
And so I would call physicians, and I must have called a dozen physicians throughout that time. No one was interested, primarily because of the medical liability.
Oh, I see.
And the tort laws.
Okay.
And trying to get insurance for this is very expensive.
Oh, interesting.
And so physicians were like, I'd love to help you, but it's just too much. The cards are stacked against us.
Yeah.
Dr. Mark Wimpy, when I first talked to him, he's like, Eric, tell me more about this. Let me meet with you and let's talk more about this. Because I think I'd like to help. Wow. And he was the reason that we started. Yeah. We were able to get and kick off our planned detox that we had planned in faith. Yeah. we built this facility. We had 12 detox beds. And so while we were planning it, it's when I started talking to Dr. Wimpy. Yeah. And God puts everything into work.
That's right.
It's his kingdom at work. He puts everything. He brings the right people in front of him. Time. He puts us at the right place at the right time. Yeah. And so I just want to thank him for getting us started. Absolutely. And Esperanza Clinic for being willing to share their medical director with us, because he was the medical director at La Esperanza Clinic. Yeah. And so that board of directors, I'm grateful to them and grateful to that organization. Cool. And they continue to support us now. Yeah. Dean Munn, the CEO out there, such great people. Also want to thank Shannon Hospital. We're thanking people right now. Shane Plymell out there, the CEO at Shannon. They're so helpful. They're wonderful partners. They have helped us in so many ways because we're a small nonprofit. Yeah. Very tiny nonprofit. Okay. Yeah. Serving a big need. Right. And so detox is the key. If we can get someone to detox, and these are all players, Shannon, La Esperanza Clinic, Dr. Wimpy, Dr. Worcester. Sure. Our team members. Yeah. They're the reason that it continues to succeed. Yes. And see, this is another challenge that we have with detox is our operation costs for it are about $400 a day. And that's trimming all the fat. Wow. That's trimming all that. $400 a day. Mm-hmm. The state of Texas, for those that are underinsured, indigent, and that's the majority of the ones we get, they only pay $237 a day for
so it's
detox.
A big difference you have to make up in it.
Wow. It's a major difference. Yeah. So it looks like we're always going to have to subsidize detox. Okay. But thank God that we've been able to do it. Mm-hmm. And thank our community, our supporters, our partners, our friends out there, because they're the ones who really are making this happen. Yes, sir. And of course, we give the glory to God because He's really behind it all. He's the one making it happen. That's right. And it's so amazing, Matt. The folks that are in treatment, there's a lot of stigma attached to addiction. Unfortunately, there's tons of stigma and stereotyping. Mm-hmm. When I talk to the clients, I try to make it a point. This morning, I went to see the clients briefly. Mm-hmm. I didn't get to spend as much time as I normally like to spend with the clients, just getting to know them. Like I did with the outpatient program. We loved that, just to talk. That was so cool. Just to encourage. Yeah. And give that word of encouragement, because treatment is not easy. No, it's not. Yeah. Trying to leave an addiction that's not just physiological, but it's emotional. That's right. Strong emotional ties. That's right. That addiction just grabs hold of that. Yeah. And it's mental. Yeah. It's part of your life now. Yeah. And that's why it's a disease, because the way it affects the body and the mind. Yes, that's good. The central nervous, so there's so strong. So when I speak to the clients, I often tell them, especially around the United Way campaign, which is in force right now. It's the United Way campaign is wrapping up, but it's still going. And I tell them, hey guys and ladies, I'm about to go out to the community and talk to the community about our programs and about you, about why we're here, why we exist, and about treatment. What would you like me to tell them? I've been doing this for over 23 years. Wow. And these are different groups of people. They don't know each other.
Right.
But they all always say, please tell them thank you.
Wow.
Matt, they're so grateful.
Yeah.
So grateful for the opportunity to get their lives back.
Yes.
But sure, there's that 1% that is there for the wrong reasons.
Right.
They're not grateful.
Exactly.
They may be pushed in by the courts or by CPS.
Yeah.
But what's amazing is that they're so grateful. What's also amazing, Matt, is whether they're court ordered into treatment or where they walk in on their own or pushed in by family.
Yeah.
The success rate is the same.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, that is incredible.
The success rate is the same. And we have one of the highest success rates in the state and in the country.
Is that right?
The national average for success in a treatment program, residential treatment program, is about 43%.
Okay.
Our success rate hovers around 70%.
What?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Wow. That's cool.
I really attribute that to our team members.
Yeah.
Because we go back to that point that we want team members that care and really care about what we do and about our mission. And we're a nonprofit, Matt. Our team members could probably be working anywhere else, making a lot more money.
Yeah.
With benefits, you know, that a lot of private companies and state government, federal government provides.
Yeah.
But they're with us because they care, they believe in our mission.
That's exactly right.
And they are having an impact. They're making a difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
And so all that ties into that success rate.
Yeah.
All that ties in.
And absolutely.
It's because of how they deliver the services.
Yes.
It comes from the heart. And that's where it should come from. If it doesn't come from the heart, then we should be doing something different. Absolutely.
That's amazing.
So that's a little bit about what we do and how we do it.
I love that. This was fantastic, but I have to ask you, I always ask everyone.
Please ask.
What are 3 things
I can talk about this all day.
What are 3 things that you're genuinely grateful for right now in your life?
I'm grateful for my faith in God, that He loves us all. Not just me, but He loves everyone the same, and He wants the best for us. I'm grateful that He's there. I've seen miracles in my life that He's the only one that can be responsible for.
That's right.
Things that have turned out a certain way in my life, that have worked out a certain way in my life, that shouldn't have worked out at all.
That's right. It leaves no doubt, right?
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt at all. I've seen it over and over and over again. I'm grateful for my family.
Nice.
My wife was a blessing to me. She just has my back at every corner. She supports me. She encourages me. My children. Yeah. I'm grateful for them. And I'm grateful for my grandkids. Life is beautiful. Yeah. I'm grateful for ADAC. Yeah. And Matt, I'm grateful for my community. Yeah. That they're so supportive, so loving. Yep. We're blessed in San Angelo.
We are.
I used to live in Dallas.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And for a little while I lived in Irving, Texas, which I still had to commute into Dallas, right off of Stemmons Freeway, off Motor Street. The juvenile probation department back then was right next to Parkland Hospital. Okay. If you remember Parkland Hospital, what's it famous for? JFK, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's where they took JFK. So, we worked right next to there, and so I still had to commute. And then I lived in Bedford, which is in Tarrant County. Okay. And then I found out that the folks from Tarrant County never like to go to Dallas, and the folks from Dallas never like to go to Fort Worth. Yeah. But I lived in Tarrant County, worked in Dallas, right in the middle of Dallas, the city of Dallas. But I figured out that it's so hard. Most people that in the Metroplex and those large cities, they live somewhere else. Yeah. And so they're not vested. Oh, interesting. They're not invested. Where you're going with that. Okay. In the impact and the outcome. You know, here in San Angelo, people that live here work here. Or, you know, we still say Cristobal and Wall. Right. I mean, that's still our community. Yeah. You know, Grave Creek, Water Valley, Carlsbad. It's all, you know, it's our community. It is. We all are vested in our community. Yeah. We all want to see it do well.
Yes.
We all want to help each other.
Yeah.
And it's such a giving community.
Oh, one of the most. That's right.
Such a giving community.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anytime anyone has a need, a GoFundMe or any kind of need, we all step up. Everybody steps up.
It's amazing.
Such incredible. And I'm grateful for that.
I am too. That's a good one.
I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for you, Matt.
Thank you.
This isn't an accident that you're doing this.
No, not at all.
You started this, when did you start this podcast?
I started it in April of this year.
It's not an accident.
No, it's not.
It's for a reason.
Thank you.
I really believe that in my heart.
I do too.
And you're blessing people, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing that.
Absolutely.
Matt, we encourage anybody. It's like the old poet said long time ago. He said, the world is too much with us. Right?
What does that mean?
The world is too much with us.
Yeah.
We're too enmeshed in the world.
Interesting.
The world is telling us what to do, when to do it, how to do it.
That's right.
And Jesus Christ has a different way for us.
Yeah.
He wants us to love one another, not be angry and hateful and spiteful and full of revenge and just malice.
Yeah.
He wants us to love each other and to help each other and not to be fearful.
Yeah.
How many times do they say in the Bible, God says, do not fear 365 times?
Is that right?
Something like that.
Wow.
I think that's right. That's
cool.
what I've heard. I don't know. I've never counted. But if you read the New Testament, it's always in there.
That's right.
Do not fear. I am with you. Do not fear. He doesn't want us to be afraid. He wants us to trust in him and to turn to him.
Yeah.
And to surrender to him. Not because we have to.
Yeah.
But because we love him and we want to. And so you're doing this, and that's blessing people. People need to hear that there is hope.
Yes.
There's a way out of addiction.
Yes.
There is a way out of addiction.
That's right.
I think at ADAC, Matt, we have, I think right now, 6 former clients that are employed with us.
Wow.
That are our team members now.
Oh, yeah. I know several of them. That's cool.
Yeah. And of about a third of our team members are in recovery.
Nice.
They found their recovery somewhere else.
Yeah.
And they're in recovery.
Cool.
And so it is possible.
Yes, it is.
It is possible.
Yes, it is.
And there's so many stories out there, wonderful stories. There is hope.
That's right.
Ask for help. We want people to ask for help.
Speaking of that, remember you said the number that's always available for someone to call. What is that?
24/7.
Yeah.
They can call 800-880-9641.
I'll put that right as you said it on the bottom.
Yes, sir. 800-880-9641.
And what is that exactly?
That's our 24-hour crisis hotline.
Okay.
Please test me on it.
Yeah.
Call it tonight at 1 a.m.
All right.
if you're up and about.
Yeah.
And if you have a problem getting through, please call me and let me know, because we're supposed to answer the phone with a live person.
Wow. Okay,
that's another priority at ADAC is when you call, you won't get this, well, if you need this, push this number. If you need that, push this button.
That's right.
No, we answer the phone.
Yep.
And hopefully by a cheerful voice, that's our goal.
Yes.
Someone who you're going to talk to a human being, another person.
Yeah.
Even if it's 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Even if it's Christmas Eve at 3 a.m.
Yes.
And I say Christmas Eve, not just because Christmas is around the corner, but several years ago, I got a call at 2 a.m. on Christmas Eve. And there was a homeless person who needed help.
Yeah.
And guess what? Our team members were able to help him.
Really?
At 2 a.m.
Oh, that's
on Christmas
amazing.
Eve.
Yeah.
Brought them in out of the cold. They gave them something to eat. Our team members are incredible.
Yeah.
Man, they're incredible. And so we mean that. If you need us at 3 a.m. on a holiday, we're there.
Yeah.
We're there and we're there to help. And we may not be able to take everybody in, but we'll point you in the right direction. Right. We'll start the ball rolling for help and action, right?
That's right.
And so call that 800 number.
Okay.
Anytime during the day, doesn't matter. If it's a weekend, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Call us. We may not be able to get you into treatment on a Sunday or Saturday afternoon, but this we can provide. We can provide hope. We can provide direction.
Okay.
And a plan.
Okay. Yeah.
To get you going to where you need to be.
Yeah.
What's that saying that Joyce Meyer says all the time? I may not be where I need to be, but I thank God I'm not where I used to be.
Nice.
Right?
That's right. That's right.
So that's really a good saying to remember.
It is. So what would you say, lastly, to the addict or alcoholic who's out there still struggling right at this moment? What would you say to them? What words of encouragement or hope would you give them?
There is hope. There is a better day out there. Things will get better. Just reach out to someone for help. It doesn't matter who it is. Reach out to someone. God has a plan for you. He has a purpose for you, and he has a desire for you. Jeremiah 29:11, I have plans to prosper you and to give you a better life, not to harm you, says the Lord. And then Romans 8:28, in all things, God works for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. Not in some things, in all things, God works for the good.
Yeah.
So reach out to someone. Reach out to someone. God will do the rest. Ask for help. There is hope. Things will get better. Things do get better. And we're there to help.
That's right.
Call us, contact us. We got your back.
That's great.
Yeah, we'll help you. Absolutely.
Well, thank you again so much for doing this. I really appreciate
Matt, thank you.
This is amazing.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Of course. All right, guys, you heard it. This was Mr. Eric Sanchez, CEO of ADAC here in the Concho Valley. Thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate it. And remember, if you'd like to support the Matt Cutrer Report podcast with a sponsorship, please reach out. We are looking for local sponsors. Take care, guys. We will see you next time.